Happy Tuesday, or whichever day you're listening to this. For this week's podcast, I talked to the very talented James Park. He's actually a food writer like me, a content and recipe creator, and most recently, a cookbook author, with his most recent launch being Chili Crisp 50 plus recipes to satisfy your spicy, crunchy, garlicky cravings. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been listening thus far. I may have only launched in July, but this episode really reminded me why I started this journey in the first place. James came to America from Korea, and his story was a bit of an emotional one, but also completely gratifying. And I really just appreciated that he shared his life with me. And these are the type of conversations I enjoy the most. It's the ones where we can get into the thick of it all, and I can learn from people who have had such incredible and different experiences than me, and I could really dive into different cultures. So I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did, and I hope it resonates with you. So please welcome James Park.
One, two, three, four.
Thank you for coming on. I'm excited to meet you.
Yeah, I'm so happy that this is actually the very first podcast recording that I'm doing about the cookbook. So thank you so much for, letting me talk
Absolutely.
about chili crisps and all things fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm so honored. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
You're actually the first person that I'm talking to that I haven't spoken to before or interviewed before. So I'm starting from ground zero. I'm learning about your
Yeah.
background,
Oh my
everything.
God, let's get to know each other. This is fun.
I love it. So you're a recipe creator, social media personality, but you're also a food writer.
Yes.
I'm a food writer too, if you didn't know that.
Oh, amazing. Tell me, well, okay, what kind of like recipes or food stuff do you write?
Okay, so I looked into your background because we need to talk about something too. You
Ooh,
started with
okay.
university.
Yeah, did you start with Spoon University too?
I
Oh my
did.
God, that's amazing.
I did. I didn't found the one. I went to University of Connecticut, so I didn't found the one. One of my friends did.
Mm-hmm.
But I basically that's kind of how I launched my career, and that's how I got into
Yeah.
writing. And I was the marketing director for it, and then became the president when I was a junior.
Uh-huh.
I don't really remember the details. And then
Yeah.
I got a job out of college, and I've been in the food and beverage scene ever since.
Wow, that's
Crazy.
literally me. Also, so I founded my chapter because I went to a business school. So I went to Pace University, and originally my major was arts and entertainment management. So I thought I came to New York City thinking that I will get into like Broadway business or like a Disney, more about like I didn't really think about food as an option for a career.
Mhm.
And then I really that was the beginning of like BuzzFeed videos were taking off and like some sort of a word like food media was thrown around. I'm like, what is that? Food tech. I finally felt like there was some sort of an opportunity for me to really pursue my love for food and cooking in a more professional way. And that's when I found out about Spoon University. I did the whole marketing campaign about getting signatures from people.
Oh my
And
God.
that is really how I launched my career in food. And that's also how I got my, first internship at Food Network as a part of that.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's how I got my first internship too with for
Yeah.
campus media, and then I was doing it
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
for Spoon You. But it's so
Mm-hmm.
interesting because I've never actually met someone outside of my club that has
Oh
done
my
that.
God. Yeah. So funny is that as a part of all this like a cookbook media mentions, I think Spoon Universe also had ups and downs and like a different journey of its own course.
Mhm.
So it seems like they are running a few of my recipes from the cookbook on spoonuniversity.com as well. So I was like telling my PR person that like, this is kind of a full circle moment for me because the whole food career really started as me, founding a chapter at Spoon University. So It's
That's
really
amazing.
fun moment of like looking back. I'm like, oh, remember I try so hard for that.
Yeah, it's so amazing when
Yeah,
all comes for a circle and you can just be proud of yourself and so
for
in the moment.
sure.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So you created Cooking My Feelings while in college. So you
Yes.
went to International Culinary Center after college. Did you
Mm-hmm.
always know that culinary school was the path right after graduation?
So it's a very interesting story because my business school offered this very unique partnership where I could get credits for certain courses for the hospitality management program while
Okay.
enrolled at culinary school. So at the time, I was like heavy on like, this. It sounds very like funny, but quantitative analysis major or whatever. I don't even know what that was entail. I just heard that the starting salary was high for that major. I was like, oh, I want to make money. And
Fair.
then that was before like I knew about like food and such. I've always wanted to go to culinary school, but I never really thought that was a possibility. And then when I saw that I could go there, like almost like with the same price that I would pay for my semester in college, I basically talked to all the professor. I was like, I was begging everyone that like I have to do this. This is like meant for me. Like please make this happen. So instead of going to college in my last semester, I went to culinary school, and hands down, still that year is my best year of my life. Hopefully, there'll be better years to come with this cookbook. But it was such a great year because that's when I really felt like, oh wow, this really brings me so much happiness and joy that like in a way that I didn't really know it could, and being in an environment where everyone really loves what they're doing and like absorbing and learning from professionals and chefs. It was like a Disney World for me. I think culinary school kind of has this like rep of it's very tough and like it's very like chef instructors are like screaming at you and such. And there are definitely moments like that, but in a way that you are learning something that you want to know, and like everything is set up for you so that you can learn and cook and everything. And it's such a great experience if you don't have to pay a lot. I don't think you have to pay a lot to go there if you're interested in like becoming a chef as a profession. I don't think spending a lot of money for culinary school is a right way, but it was a perfect experience for me because it kind of gave me a type of information and knowledge to really have a conversation with chefs and to understand what's going on behind the kitchen, and just gave me a lot of context as I continue my career in food.
That's interesting that you brought up the mean chef stereotype of the culinary industry because I actually just talked to someone on my podcast a few weeks ago who was saying that that was a stereotype that wasn't necessarily true either, but she did experience it herself. So
Hmm.
I'm curious if that aided your learning or it kind of pushed you and motivated you to do better and learn more about the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I am very much of like bubbly,
Hmm.
positive person no matter what environments I'm in. So I think a lot of chef instructors were like fascinated by like who is this like, constantly, happy, smiling person. So I think I didn't have a lot of experience of like them like being mean to me, but it was more like being playful. But I do remember there was one course where I had to make mayonnaise from scratch, from by hand, and while everyone was like advancing to another sauce, like it was just not coming together in a way that like chef instructor was like literally like, James, what are you doing? Like I think he was more dramatic, and like obviously I gave the reaction that he wanted, but like that day still haunts me to this day because it was like, oh my god, I can't do that. And I think I never fully experienced like the restaurant kitchen world, because I knew
Right.
that with my type of a personality and knowing what type of a kitchen culture exists, I felt like me going there, even though it would be a very, very valuable experience, I think it would kind of hurt my pure enthusiasm and joy for like cooking. Because
Yeah.
restaurant kitchen is like a whole new different world. I think they're there to operate and orchestrate in their own version in a way that it's different from like home kitchen or like culinary school. So thankfully I never really experienced like any sort of a toxic, like behind the
Mhm.
scene kitchen, because I knew that if I were to expose myself, I wouldn't have a good time. So there was a lot of pressure from a culinary school, like you have to do an externship at the kitchen. But I kept pushing. No, I will have an externship at like a food media company. Like that's not what I'm here for. And like I think I'm definitely learning skills from like doing pop-ups, and like I love doing like more of a restaurant-y operation kind of experience, but I am kind of glad that I never fully went through the whole kitchen culture. Maybe it could be better. Who knows? I think a lot has changed, and I might be speaking from not fully experiencing, but I kind of knew what I would thrive, what kind of environment I would thrive, and I just didn't. I wanted to protect myself almost from being hurt in a way.
That's good that you recognize that so early on and we're so self-aware. Not a lot of
Yeah,
people are able to do that and then they experience it and go, oh crap, I actually don't want to do this path at all. So you really went down the right path for yourself.
but I got called out a lot from people at the culinary school. They were like, "What do you mean you're not going to experience restaurant kitchen like as a part of the whole culinary school student? You have to experience that." And it was kind of rough for me to like, keep pushing back to them of like, I get that it's a very valuable experience, but like that's not what I'm here for. Like I knew what I got myself into, and like I knew how I wanted to use my experience being a culinary school student for my career. So I hope I more culinary schools are welcoming those kind of people who are there for different experiences than like people who wanna operate and like open their own restaurants or become a restaurant chef.
Right, right.
Yeah.
More learning
Mm-hmm.
than anything else. It's kind of
Totally.
similar with law school or something like that. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone goes to law school to become a lawyer, but
Yeah,
they often do it to learn about constitutional law or
exactly.
political science or whatever it is. And it's just one of those extra certifications, if you will, to
Yeah,
become more of an expert in your field.
totally.
And then you worked at Eater for over 4 years, so now you're a video producer for The Kitchen.
Yeah,
But before all of that, you were born in Korea, you grew up in
yeah.
Alabama.
I
What did,
know.
in my research, what did food look like for you growing up?
Well, for me, a lot of food memories growing up in Korea were eating out. Both of my parents were working, so I always envy my friends who had a housewife kind of a mom. I always wanted my mom to like cook for me or like kind of make some sort of afternoon snacks, and like I think I was really looking for the type of like typical nurturing mom who would like show me how to cook, who would like welcome me in her kitchen of like teaching me how to make certain things, but I didn't have any of those. A lot of memories were just me watching TV, like watching like a QVC equivalent in Korea, and like, oh my god, the food looks so good, and like I asked for food processor and juicer for my like seventh year birthday present instead of like toys. So like I think a lot of those kind of came from just like like me wanting to eat better, because mostly I was on my own. I could easily just like order or like fried chicken or eat ramen, but I wanted to cook something. I wanted to play, and come up with like how I could eat in my own kitchen. So, a lot of like early memories of like food in Korea are just like me trying to make like a sandwich for the first time, me trying to make like kimchi soup for the first time, and I kind of gather all my food knowledge by like going to my friend's place and like watching my friend's mom cook for me and such. And then I came to America, and my role of like moms have changed because I didn't come here with my family. So I had like different guardians who would like take care of me and who would cook for me. And I think that's when I really started like gathering more information about like home cooking, because they were kind of stay at home mom and like cook for me a lot of different food. And like the first place that I came to America was Texas, but I stay with
Okay.
Korean people, so they made me Korean food, and like that kind of gave me a glimpse of like what Korean home cooking was like, and then what my American home cooking really became. I got exposed to that when I now like met my unofficial adoptive family.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I came to Alabama. And like then I was just exposed to all kinds of like American Southern food that really became a part of like my, fond memories of eating in America.
At what age did you leave Korea?
So I came to America when I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were kind of a teenager when you were
Yeah.
learning all of this.
Yeah, I was like absorbing the language, I was absorbing the culture. It was just a lot of new things. I think at the time I did not expect that decision to visit America to turn into this over decade long life that I've built in America. I don't think
Mhm.
anyone, including myself, my parents, knew this would be a possibility, but it happened. And honestly, every time I like introduce myself to new people like you and like talk about my life story, I'm like, how did I like go through all of this at that time? I'm like, I don't know whether I could do that if I were to go back and like just moving to different families and like, just having to like stand up for myself in this country where I felt extremely lonely in a way. And like, that's like your peak puberty in a way. So like I think I wanted
Yes.
sometimes feel that safety of like my own family. But even though like different guardians and my family, they really provided love and like just home for me, I think it took a long time for me to really even accept my American family as a family, because I had this mindset of like I have to stand out for myself, and like they're
Mhm.
not my family. So like there's like a really cute story of like I call my American mom Princess, because
Oh,
I felt weird to call her by like the last name, but I also felt weird to call her mom. So
right.
let's come up with some cute nicknames. So Princess like really sat down with me like you are a part of my family now. You have to act like one. You need to let me know what's happening, and like she really just like kind of made me realize I am her family. This is not just like I'm here and they're taking care of me in exchange of like anything. And I think that's when the shift of like me feeling like I have home, I have family in
Hmm.
this country that I felt like I was alone for a long time, and I still go back to Alabama and stay with them, and like it's really nice to have like a family that I can really trust and I can feel comfortable in America.
That's incredibly sweet. Do you feel like that family has aided your confidence in doing food media and going to college and aiding your creative
Oh,
side a bit?
absolutely. I think without my American family support and love, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now, because there's a lot of cultural, differences that I just could not explain to my Korean parents, and they don't know certain things in a way why this is important, why this accomplish means a lot. And I can't really translate the weight of certain things that I did in America. And it
Mhm.
was, they made me feel like I could be who I am and they made me feel like I could really achieve everything that I wanted in a way. And I always felt their support. Yeah, like not try to get like I think just like a wave of like emotion just hit me in a way that yeah, this book is like dedicated to them in a way that a lot of things that I've done in America wouldn't really come true without like them believing in me and like really just like loving me the way I am.
That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. You're gonna make me
I know, I'm
cry.
like trying not to cry because I don't know, like there as like I'm talking about the book and such, so much of like their love and their encouragement has like made me believe that I can do certain things in America. Like writing a book, I would never imagine that to be a thing, but them like congratulating me and like being happy for me and just having that support system means so much to me, and I'm so happy that I can share all this like things. I can share the flavors and food that I learned from New York and like bring it back to my home in Alabama. I'm like, guys, like, let me make this for you. I love cooking for them. I expose them to all sorts of Korean food, and yeah, food really just like was our love language in a way that still helped us stay connected.
And it's a love language for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Even me and my family, we have similar values and things like that. But a support system is extremely vital,
absolutely.
especially in media. It can be a little bit isolating in media because you're the only one that's
Yeah,
creating. It's kind of all on you. And you've, I'm sure, felt an immense amount of pressure coming to America and having that pressure of, I need to kind of
oh
succeed.
yeah,
Because I feel that, and I've from Connecticut. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like uh, there's this pressure to grind and grind and grind, and then when you finally have this outcome like your cookbook, you have to take a step back and say, "Holy shit! Like
yeah,
I made it here, and I couldn't have done it without the people that were around me and humbled me, but also taught me."
yeah, yeah. It's
I think it's
it's
beautiful.
it's kind of surreal in a way that I also found out that my cookbook would be available to be available in Korea as well. So that was like a huge like news for me that kind of like I just couldn't believe where my life is heading to. Like
That's
yeah,
wild.
it was
Congratulations.
wild. Thank you so much. And like, the fact that my book would be available to be purchased in Korea, that means so much in a way that yeah, like I'm just excited for what this cookbook can do for me in a way that at first I was a little bit concerned and insecure about writing a cookbook about a topic that I didn't necessarily grow up with. So I wanted to make sure that I'm representing the condiment in a way that that people who have a very strong personal connection still feel like okay, like this person did a good job, and I wanted to come forefront about how I'm Korean immigrant and how Chili Chris like still kind of gave me this like comfort and like opened me up to a community of Asian friends that I kind of reserve and hesitated to be a part of a lot by like growing up in the South. So I didn't necessarily have a lot of like Asian friends or didn't grow up with a lot of Asian community slash culture that I think when I first came to America, my going back to the success thing, like I thought being assimilated to white culture and just like what you think of like typical America was my definition of success. So I intentionally avoided being a part of like Asian group of friends, or I never talked to any sort of a few Korean people who were there. And it took a lot of years of unlearning of like how that mindset was wrong. And nowadays it's okay
Mhm.
to celebrate your culture. It's okay to really, lean toward of like your roots and what makes you who you are, because America is a place where diversity is celebrated. And it's cheesy to say,
Mhm.
but it's so true in a way that like Chili Crisp was like one of many vehicles that helped me feel accepted. It helped me reach out to other Asian friends and help me connect with them. And it was just one of the small things that helped me really empower who I am as an Asian person in America.
I think that all goes back to how we define success in America, but also within ourselves. And I think that often has to do with
Yeah,
status and money and a lot of value in the financial aspect of everything. But I also think that we, especially now that content creators and people like you who are creating cookbooks, that diversity and inclusion is just being celebrated more and more.
yeah,
And we're basically just, I mean, like New York, based in New York,
yeah,
right? So there's so many little areas that people are visiting, and we're so much more open to cultures than I think ever before. But
yeah,
it's funny that you also brought up you felt pressure. Actually, let me rephrase that. Because I saw in the book that you felt an immense amount of pressure to write about this ingredient, this chili crisp, because you didn't grow up with it on your table. So now that all kind of makes
hmm
sense. Do you feel like the journey of creating this book changed that mindset for you?
yeah. I think my mindset toward chili crisp has changed compared to 2 years ago when I first got the opportunity to write the cookbook and where I am right now. Because at the time, that was before I even created my own recipe for chili crisp, and that was before, I mean, it was like my hobby in a way. I love talking about it. I love trying different things, but I didn't quite have that like really strong personal connection of why me chili crisp. But now I feel like there's such a strong connection slash I can confidently say why I am the right person in talking about chili crisp, because that like it was almost like I was able to learn more about myself as a Korean immigrant in America through the lens of chili crisp. Chili crisp is not a condiment that like Korean people or Korean cuisine is even aware of, but I'm able to apply Korean flavors and like things that make me Korean and things like flavors that I enjoy in Korean dishes, and I fuse that to make my own chili crisp, and that gave me a new platform to talk about Korean food to my Korean friends, and like really challenging the idea of like, hey, like, have you ever thought about adding chili crisp in your like Korean comfort food, like kimchi jjigae or like, soybean stew, and like, and there's like the sparkle that I saw as I was like talking about this to my Korean friends and them tasting my Korean flavor for chili crisp and like them loving it, like, oh my God, like this is like what I was missing. And like I'm able to constantly bring it back to like my Korean story and Korean dishes. And I'm like pitching this to all those Korean people in a way, and like them finding this new kind of like unlock the flavor of like things that they never thought about through the lens of chili crisp. And I just feel like this is my mission to like share these flavors and like inclusion of this condiment to Korea. And they need to know more about this, and they need to how there's like different fermentation paste in Korean cuisine like gochujang and doenjang and kanjang, and this completely has like a opportunity to be a part of one of that, and it just complements with so many things that they eat. And I'm just like, I hope through this cookbook more Korean people pay attention to like, oh, like this can be applied to a lot of Korean food that they like. And now through this like cookbook journey, and as I'm talking so much about it, as I'm like sharing my own Korean flavor chili crisp with everyone, it really becomes a part of me in a way that like without this I wouldn't be able to find the perfect way to share my story and like Korean cuisine. But now it's 2023, and like the cuisine evolves in a way that I am just so lucky that I'm in the right year in a way where I can like kind of bring the new light of Korean food and Korean culture through my chili crisp. And I'm really excited to see how this book can really like change a lot of people's perception. And hopefully in a few years, maybe Korea will have their own brands of chili crisp out there.
Oh my gosh, you should try to do that for yourself. That would be insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big goal. And like when I first wrote about this cookbook 2 years ago, none of this was like planted inside of my head. But now it's like, wow, like I feel like I'm onto something. And I think that moment felt real with my very traditional Korean parents became obsessed with it. And
Oh,
there's a chapter in my cookbook about lost in translation because I don't really know how to explain chili crisp to my Korean parents. And they don't know what that tastes like. I was really envious of those who can like ask their parents or have some sort of a references that they can
and
ask when they're
understanding.
stuck in like recipe. Yeah, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't create that connection as I was writing this cookbook with my Korean parents or my American parents. None of them really knew what this tasted like. So when I went to Korea earlier this year and I brought this sample and I finally made them like this like chili crisp Korean feast for them. And when they like finally understood, wow, this is what you meant and like we love this, and it was just like they kept saying that like, okay, James, you need to make more. Like I can't eat anything else, and they're showing me all their creative ways of eating it. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, like I want to spread and like share that joy of eating this chili crisp with as many people as possible in Korea, and like, maybe one cookbook at a time, but maybe this cookbook can open up more opportunities to really share that flavors with more people, and we'll see what happens.
That's amazing. There's one tagline that you mentioned in your cookbook that really stuck out to me and kind of beautifully sums up what you just said. And it was by your favorite chili crisp brand, not traditional, but personal. And
Yeah.
it sounds like that really just sums up when you brought to the chili crisp to your parents and it became more of a personal dish that now you can share with the world. And that's amazing. And what you have too is such a niche because there's a lot of people
Hmm.
who have cookbooks out there, but they have an array of recipes and things, but
Right.
very hard to come up with 50 plus ingredients for one specific recipe or
Hmm.
ingredient. Sorry, swap.
Yeah.
50 plus recipes for one specific ingredient. Did you ever find that you ran out of inspiration?
Honestly, it was hard for me to come down to under 50. I feel like I could write the second book that has like 50 other plus recipes for chili crisp because at first I was like, there must be some sort of a block or like end of it in terms of being creative with chili crisp. But I had this like idea or kind of moment of like, analogy in shower, just like any other creative moments happen. It's almost like butter, you know?
Hmm.
You can put that in savory, sweet. It's one of those ingredients that really enhance everything that you're eating. So I think a lot of people just thought chilaquiles as like, okay, you make the dish and like finish with like whatever,
Hmm.
and maybe they reserve that for strictly Asian cuisine or just like maybe a little restricted in terms of where chilaquiles could be used. But as I started like really thinking about how I can incorporate this into like Korean food, Mexican cuisine, Vietnamese cuisine, just so many other cultures.
Hmm.
Like there are just truly infinite numbers way using chili crisp, and it's like it might be just a spicy condiment, but like if you use it in different ways, or if, depending on how you introduce that into a part of the recipe step, it can kind of work along with every other flavors and ingredients in a way that you will have a completely different experience versus like just final drizzle. The flavors are not as like aggressive,
Mhm.
but it's still like beautifully mellowed and like complex way of like adding your home cooking. And I don't know. I feel like there are just so many more ways of using chili because in a way I hope this is just the beginning of like your own adventure in a way that I just hope that the cookbook inspires you to think so much outside of like how can I apply this into like my comfort food, like my culture. And I just hope that it pushes you out of that box and like truly cook with that in a boundary breaking ways.
And that's what a cookbook's for. It's so people can stop being afraid of the kitchen and getting creative in it and kind of pushing those boundaries too. But can we do like a little chili crisp for dummies kind of thing? Say
For
someone listening
sure.
has no idea what it is. Just like,
Yes. So I always say a chili crisp is a spicy, oily condiment that's like textured and
mhm,
it goes along with everything that you put on. So think of it more like a hot sauce. Depending on what type of brands you have, the spice level is different. Depending on what brands you have, the what's inside is also different. I think a
mhm,
lot of people immediately think all chili crisp must be super spicy, which is not the truth. When you go to Trader Joe's, I think one of the early exposure to chili crisp, if you have never tasted, would
yes.
be the garlicky onion crunch, or I
Mhm.
forget the exact name, but like
Know
there
what you
is a version. Yeah, there's a version that's like more of a crisp forward and like crispy and like oily. It's not spicy at all, but there's a slight hint of like spice because of like paprika, and you can finish that on top of salad or avocado toast, whatever. And I think what people are scared of is like, oh, like it's red and it's oily, like, and they
mhm,
don't really know how to quite use that.
mhm,
But everyone knows how to use hot sauce or ketchup,
true.
mayonnaise. Like, it's just like anything else. And I don't think there's any sort of like one way of using it. And what I really want to encourage is for people to taste as many different kinds of chili crisp. There is just one flavor or one kind of chili crisp. Maybe the one that you tried was too spicy, but that means you can try other brands just to see what you like. And I almost say that like, you have to go through the dating phase of different kinds of chili crisps to find your ultimate the one.
Mhm.
And there are so many different kinds of chili crisps out now. And if you have felt like, oh, I tried this one and like it wasn't my thing, then maybe try something else. Or the book really shows you how to customize and make your own, or maybe make your own if you haven't found the one that you like. So yeah, chili crisp is just for everyone, and you don't have to be scared of the spice. You can make not spicy chili crisp. You
Mhm.
know, the possibilities are endless.
You broke it down perfectly. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I was looking through your recipes too. Is there one that you're most looking forward to sharing? I saw the kimchi quesadilla with chili crisp looked phenomenal, and then the
yeah.
ricotta toast, the whipped ricotta toast with spicy tomato confit too. That look,
Yeah,
those are
it's
my
very, very
favorites.
good.
Love that.
Honestly, it's so funny because sometimes you kind of have to be your own biggest hype man. And I wrote all of this, like, but I'm reading all this recipe titles when I first received my copy. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this sounds so good. This sounds so good. I'm like, did I really write all of this? Because I kind of forgot that I developed all of that. And I'm so happy that this book really captures all the dishes that make me so excited to cook and eat. And I think it really reflects like my background because there's so many Korean recipes, and it's more of those not like traditional recipes per se, but it's definitely something that people will be excited to eat. And if I have to like pick one of the recipes to really encourage people to make, I think it should start with simple, like chili crisp fried eggs. It's the very first recipe on the cookbook, and it's probably the video that I've shared hundreds of times. And every time I make it, there's a new person who's like, "Oh, I never thought about it." So it's never enough mention. But I think that is the first recipe or cooking with chili crisp that really changed the way that I think of chili crisp because frying eggs in chili crisp tastes so different from you just fry eggs and like finish with chili crisp.
Hmm.
And it's just the complexity and the warmth and heat and flavors, textures that get stuck on the bottom of the eggs and like the yolk. Like it's a whole experience of an egg that I never thought that I could really experience with chili crisp. So if you've never cooked with chili crisp before, I highly, highly recommend you to fry eggs in chili crisp and serve that over rice with a little bit of soy sauce, sesame seed, or a scallion. Just mix it around. It takes like less than 10 minutes to make, and I probably eat that like 3 times a week, and I would never get tired of eating that.
That sounds delicious. That's like when, do you remember when pesto and eggs, fried eggs, were like such
Yeah,
a thing? That's kind of
just
similar,
like
but
that.
yours sound better.
I think pesto is also delicious, but what's very exciting about chili crisp fried egg is that you can really mix and match with everything. I recently shared, like the feta fried eggs went viral a few weeks ago, so I
Yes.
incorporated that with chili crisp, and that was phenomenal. I'm sure fry or almost like a Christmas style of like pesto and chili crisp, so that it's like green and red goodness. I feel like I should probably do that. That sounds delicious. So you can really like incorporate chili crisp and however method of frying eggs that you prefer.
I know you also post a lot of noodle recipes. Do you
Yeah.
have a favorite go-to addition, either a sauce or ingredient for noodles?
That is like chili crisp related or just noodles in general?
Just noodles in general.
Yeah, I think okay, egg yolk is so underrated as like a noodle sauce. I think a lot of people get like scared of idea of like eating raw egg yolk, but
Mhm.
every time I make like pasta or like cold noodles or anything, I always finish with a yolk on top, and like when you pop the yolk and like all that ooey gooey like rich yolk coats every stand of noodles, I just feel like it elevates any kinds of noodles to the next level. And I don't know, like whether that is like noodle soup or like cold noodles or just regular pasta. Think of how rich and delicious carbonara is, and you can basically
Yeah.
create that carbonara effect on anything that you eat by topping it with egg yolk. And I think it specifically goes well with like noodles in general.
So would that be while it's cooking or after? Or you could
No,
kind of like,
after. So it's like you finish. So because while it's cooking, it kind of gets cooked. You are not really getting the taste of that rich yolk. So let's
okay.
say that you finish plating, whether that's like a dry noodles or pasta, and just like finish, like put there, make a little nest in the center and put egg yolk. And then as you're eating it, like mix it around. And like as the yolk breaks down and like coats every strand of noodle, it just
Mhm.
it just adds that like the magical oomph that you wouldn't be able to like pinpoint if you didn't know, but like that is that secret magical ingredient in my opinion that makes all the noodles much much better than it would be before.
All right, so now I have to make chili crisp fried eggs and noodles with an egg yolk.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's never enough of yolks or eggs. So it just sounds so good. And I have this like a chili crisp bucatini recipe that you do use a lot of chili crisp. So you're basically making that like the carbonara thing with like a lot of egg yolk and like cheese and chili crisp. It has this beautiful orange color, and when
Mhm.
it's tossed everything, you finish with egg yolk in the center. So you are just getting an explosion of that rich egg yolk flavor, but because of the spice and the flavors of chili crisp, it doesn't get too rich, and it's like very balanced. You are getting like rich at first, but like a little bit of a heat at the end. It's like I will eat the whole thing in one seating.
Okay. That's my epic downfall is just eating everything in one sitting. You should have a
Yeah.
noodle cookbook next.
Honestly, that would be fun. I love noodle. I also it's so funny that so many people are asking, how do you slurp noodles so well? I'm like, I it's so hard to like explain slurping skills to people because I think in Korea at least like slurping is like a
Hmm.
sign of like, oh, you are enjoying this meal. But I think in America maybe like making sound is like not considered as like I don't know, the table etiquette. So they're just like
Oh,
eating
I didn't
it,
know
but
that.
like you're not really getting the full noodle experience if you're not slurping it because like I don't know, like as the noodles get exposed to air and as you're like vacuuming to your mouth, it sounds so weird, but like it kind of
I know what
changes like the textures and like the whole noodle experience, a little bit of sauce around your mouth and like it's like you are not gonna get that if you just like four twirled and like, eat it. I mean, you shouldn't slurp pasta, but at least when you're eating like Asian noodles, I think you should like try to slurp, at least like try it, and then you will know that it's definitely a different experience.
See, everyone's too proper here. They care too much about
I
their appearance.
know. No, no, no. We gotta slurp the noodles, and it's so fun. And practice makes it better. If you feel like you're really bad at slurping, just like practice at home.
I'm gonna make that this podcast episode just
Slurping.
I don't think that'll come off super well unless people listen.
I know. But yeah, but slurping is very important in the overall
Yes.
experience of like enjoying the Asian noodles, and I think everyone should at least try. Just
I
don't think too
agree.
much about it and like try to slurp and like it will be amazing.
Yeah, it's all about the atmosphere. You gotta create
Absolutely.
the experience for yourself.
Yeah.
So, speaking of eating things in one sitting, I saw on your website that you classify yourself as an emotional eater, but I wanted to kind of gauge how you define that for yourself.
Yeah. I think a lot of people immediately conclude that to a negative thing because like eating your feelings, I didn't know
That
that,
was
but like
exactly my thought process.
yeah, it's like it's something bad or like something guilty. You should not do that. I'm like, oh, like I ate my feelings. How ashamed should I be? But like, I really want to change the perception of like, food and eating is so much related to celebration in a way that I
Mhm.
always associate eating as like, oh my God, like I'm having such a happy day. And eating this dish would make me even happier. Or, oh, I had a really bad day, so I'm gonna eat this to make myself happy. And like, I think a lot of like those emotions are related to food in a way that it eventually makes me feel better than before. So like, I'm always eating my happy feelings or excited, like all kind of like positive things. So I even though sometimes I get a backlash of like, oh, you shouldn't really say those phrases, I hope to really challenge that mindset of like, you know what, like eating your feelings is not a bad thing. It should be celebrated because like I'm always eating my happy feelings in a way that like after eating this dish, I feel so much better. And like that's the power of food. That's the power of cooking and
Mhm.
eating. And maybe we should really change the mindset about how we use eating your feelings phrases. And I love when like so my like, internet friends are like, I'm also eating my feelings too. I'm like, yeah, let's keep eating our feelings together. And like it's a celebratory act for me, and I hope less people associate those words as something negative.
I like that a lot. I think where the line is when you're eating your feelings to a point where it becomes unhealthy for you. And I think
Right.
that's the negative connotation is coming out of. But if you like to celebrate it and you do it in moderation, say, I have a bad day, I'll do a scoop of ice cream. I deserve that, whatever it
Exactly.
is. I
Yeah.
think that's a wonderful way to turn it into a celebration of sorts instead of feeling the shame afterwards, because that's
Yeah.
something I've dealt with my whole life
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
mean, food should never be connected to shame or guilt or any of that. I hate the whole idea of like, oh my God, I feel so guilty for eating this dessert or something. And like, I don't like food should be nurturing, exciting, makes you happy, like there's nothing better than eating delicious thing to really celebrate. So I don't know
Mhm.
why the whole society or culture in general puts so much, negative mindset about eating. And like I understand that not everyone feels my level of joy and happiness from eating, but so many people do. And if you are one of those people who love eating, who loves cooking or feeding, all of that, anything that's around food, celebrate that, and that's your way of eating your happy feelings.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And you do it in a way that you say, hey, eat your feelings with me.
Yes.
You know, you're not alone. You can do it with me, and we're going to do it together. And you could do it with my cookbook. You could do it with the recipes I post, or you could just do it with your favorite things, you
Yeah,
know? So making that community, I think, helps
absolutely.
people be more uplifting about it versus the negative thoughts that are normally associated with the phrase.
Yeah, because what's so beautiful about me creating food content is that it allows me to share that pure joy with other people. I think there are so many other creators who are finding their niche to share and spread their like joy and happiness, and mine happens to be food, which is truly there's no border lines or cultural obstacles for that, because whether we speak the same language or not, we can acknowledge that, oh my God, that looks delicious. And
Mhm.
I feel very lucky that I'm able to build this community where people can feel my excitement, where I can share my passion for certain things. And I just want everyone to be happy. And I feel like my mission through whatever I do is just to bring you a smile, because I just hope to bring that positivity and like energy and smile that will lift you up when you have a bad day. And when you have a bad day, if you just like happen to see a video of me slurping noodles, and if you think that's funny and makes you smile, that's all I want to do for you.
And I can see that passion through just talking to you. And you're going to be successful no matter what because you
Thank
have
you.
that persona. You're welcome. You truly do have that persona and you're genuine. And when you have both those things and then the motivation and the drive to actually see it through, you're going to do
Oh,
well
thank you
and
so
you're guaranteed
much.
success.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. I'm really excited to see where your cookbook goes. And in addition to your cookbook, do you have anything else that's next for you? Do you have any upcoming projects or anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, my big upcoming project would be certainly making my chili crisp into a product. I think so many people have asked me, can I buy this? What are you doing with that? Just like I mentioned about my grand mission of really sharing this with my motherland, Korea, or just like Korean people in general. It's a little overwhelming to start, not gonna lie, because it's like truly starting from zero, and especially doing consumer, products, it's like a whole new set of challenge. So with this cookbook, and hopefully more people are tasting this, I hope there's a right opportunity that lands me where I can really share this with more people through a product. So yeah, that is something that's in my mind. So I'm waiting for the right opportunity to really tackle on that project, and hopefully, that dream will come true.
I think it will. I know a lot of creators who are pushing into the consumer space now, and it does take a while, and there's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of ropes to learn, but it's definitely something that you can do, especially if you have a background and you have a goal. You'll be able to figure it out for
Yeah.
sure.
It'll
So
be a
hopefully, I'll see
fun
that on
adventure.
shelves.
Yeah, that's the dream. And hopefully it gets, imported back to Korea. Like honestly, that is like my big goal in a way that like once my chili crisp becomes an actual product that people can buy, I want that to be a part of just like Korean food conversation. And it's really exciting that I'm able to find the connection between chili crisp and Korean cuisine that no one really has seen. And I really believe in that. And so many responses around from my Korean community has been so positive about that. So we'll see that maybe when you go to your favorite Korean restaurants, you will see chili crisp on the side.
Yay. But for now, you can bask in the glory of your cookbook
Yes.
because when this podcast comes out, it will be out for order. But
Yes.
right now, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
So
really.
yeah, pre-order, or it's always so fun to say the book is available wherever the books are sold. So that's it kind of gives me a thrill of like, oh my God, like finally the day that I can say it is like coming very, very soon. So yeah, if you see the cover of my Chilicris, because I mean, I'm obsessed with my cover in a way. I think it like really stands out in a way that if you look at the book, it just encapsulates the energy and the feel of Chili Chris immediately. So if you see it, hopefully that will help you like inspire to like spice things up in your life, or give it to your spicy food lovers, or yeah, just say hello to
Vision
my
X
book.
tagline.
Yeah, just say hello to my
Spice
baby.
things up
Yeah, yeah,
in your life. Slurp noodles and then spice things up.
absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
It's amazing to see those things come to fruition when you've worked for them for so long, but then you have the added layer of bringing your culture to America and then also integrating your own ideas into Korean culture.
Yeah.
It's such so fascinating to me,
Thank
and it's
you.
really cool to watch.
Yeah,
So
thanks for letting me talk all
excited
of
for
this
you.
and, share those different connections. And I haven't really had a chance to really dive into why I'm writing this cookbook and why Chili Crisp means so much to me. And I'm so happy that I can really share more those connections in depth with you. And thank you for giving me this chance.
Oh, you're welcome. I actually have a short game for you if you're into it.
Yeah, let's play the game.
Okay, let's have some fun. We're talking some heavy things.
Yeah, let's light things up.
All right, so I'm going to name four popular food trends right now, and you're going to tell me if you're for or against, smash or pass kind of thing.
Smash or
Does that make
pass?
sense?
Okay, got it.
Okay, got it. First, kimchi.
Oh, always smash.
I figured, but I just
Yeah,
wanted to say it anyways.
yeah. I hope people kind of think beyond of just a regular Napa cabbage kimchi. Like, I feel like kimchi is
Mhm.
definitely something that you think of like just a cabbage kimchi, everyone can see it, but there are like hundreds, thousands of different kinds of kimchi. And if you
Mhm.
have an opportunity to go beyond of the typical Napa cabbage kimchi, please go, outside of your comfort zone and like try other types of kimchi.
I did. Yeah, I actually interviewed Emily Mankai Kim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. But she taught me the world of kimchi and was
Oh my
telling me
God.
all
Yeah.
about it. And it was so incredible to be opened up to it like that. But
Yeah.
because honestly, I didn't even know totally what it was. I had an idea, but I
Right.
wasn't completely sure. So she was like, this is the fermentation of it, and this is what you
Yeah.
can do, make it less traditional or whatever you want. So there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of ways that you can incorporate it.
Yes.
Okay. Number two, ube flavored foods.
Oh, smash. Oh my God. It's so funny because I just filmed a video for Ube swirled ice cream. And I was like
Oh,
tasting it and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And okay, I get that a lot of people sometimes hate on ube because of that like purple color and like, oh my God, it's gimmicky, whatever. But it tastes
no,
so
I
good.
think that makes it pretty.
Yeah, I think it just tastes incredible in desserts, and because of that, like the earthy, almost like a vanilla-y taste. It goes so well with
Mhm.
donuts, ice cream. I think you should definitely check out this recipe that I like made a video on the kitchen. It's like swirl with like a just a regular a no churn like ice cream base, and it's like the streaks of like beautiful purple mix into this white vanilla ice cream, and it tastes so good. And it's funny that you're mentioning about ube because I was like crying and like feeling myself eating like this is the best thing, and now we're here we are talking about ube.
It's lovely when you're your own creative genius and you make amazing food. You're just gonna cry all the time.
And like when I made ube tiramisu, I'm like one of that is like one of my proudest recipes because it was just an idea. I'm like, you know what? We make tiramisu. Can I make it in ube? And I had to make that like 8 or 9 times, including like development and like videos and all that. And every time I make it, I'm like, good job, James. Like this is delicious. I'm like, I am so proud that my brain came up with that, and like it is one of those recipes that I'm like so proud, and I hope more people get into the world of ube thanks to
That's amazing. Yeah. Sometimes when I listen to this podcast, I'm like, I'm just so talented. It's insane.
that. Yeah, exactly. You know, we gotta, like I said, we gotta be our own hype man, or we gotta hype ourselves up because no one else will believe in us as much as we do. So I'm
You're
here for the
definitely
valid, positive affirmations.
absolutely. I need to do them every single day.
Yes.
I actually recently I was on a press trip and I had an ube flavored croissant
Oh,
and
oh my God, I bet it's delicious.
it was flaky and perfect.
Yeah, and
And
beautiful
now I'm thinking about
color. Yeah, the color always just gets me so excited.
yeah, it's beautiful. It looks like a little flower. Like it reminds me of flowers. It's just
Yeah,
so
yeah,
pretty. That's the color.
agree.
All right, number 3. You're gonna say yes to this. Ramen noodles.
Yes. Honestly,
Giving you easy ones.
huh?
I said I'm giving you easy
Yeah,
ones.
yeah. I'm glad because I don't want to get canceled for saying pass on certain things. But like, honestly, if I can be healthy and like just like eat ramen 3 times a day and like be normal, I will absolutely eat ramen every single day and every 3 different meals. And there's like so many different kinds. And I think ramen is that perfect food for me to eat my like happy feeling because I am never like if I have like a horrible day, I need to eat ramen to make myself feel better. And I'm instantly happy that first slurp of like noodles, whether that's Korean or whatever. There's like too many options for instant noodles too that I wish I could like live a long time so that I can try as many as I can.
Every single
Every
one.
single one. There, like I'm discovering new things every single day, and that's why you see all this like ramen displays. And it's like it just makes me happy.
I get that. See, I think my comfort food is probably pasta, which is similar kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
So I feel that. All right, number 4, kombucha.
Ooh. I also smash that because it's fizzy. It helps me digest better, and if I digest things better, I can eat more.
Wow,
Yeah.
the science.
So I am all for like digestive stuff, and I feel like kombucha is one of those. And I regularly drink kombucha so that it can help with my digestive system, so that I can eat more of things that make me happy.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a huge fan of the flavor of it. I think
Um,
that's my
I think there are so many different flavors too. It's very fizzy, so like I like burp a lot if I drink that. So it's like I get very burpy. But I think
so just don't go outside of your house when you drink
yeah,
it.
yeah. Or like master uh how to burp quietly, or maybe not, because I think that I like burp very quietly, but my friend is like, I can hear you. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Slip and
yeah.
burp.
That's me, sadly. I'm just that
That's the
person.
name of this episode now. We're adding
Slurp and
burp.
burp. Yeah.
All right, my final and last question for you. I ask every single one of my guests if there is one cooking utensil, product, or appliance that you think everyone should splurge on, what would it be and why?
Ooh. My immediate answer would be air fryer. And if you still have
Okay.
not hopped on that air fryer, what are you doing? It's like 2023. I feel like that needs to be like as essential as like having a microwave. And if I didn't write a cookbook about chili crisp, I probably would write a cookbook about air fryer because that was the first appliance that really like, oh my God, I never thought that I would feel this happy about using an appliance. It's like
It's an adult
yeah,
thing.
it's like, wow, like, why am I so excited about using an air fryer? And like every single day, it's like used to have this series of like, will it air fry on my Instagram? I'm like, I'll just air fry everything. And there's so many frozen foods out there, especially Korean ones. If you go to like H Mart, there's like loads of incredible frozen food that's like made for air fryer, whether you're baking, whether you're just, heating up the leftovers, whether you're just toasting your frozen slice of bread. It's
Mhm.
and it's like a convection oven in a way, how oven can be used for so many things. But like air
Yes.
fryer just like the same thing but has even more versatile usage. And I one of my
Mhm.
favorite things to make in an air fryer is a Bass cheesecake. And I almost feel like air fryer should be considered as a Bass cheesecake maker. I have a recipe in my chili crisp cookbook that uses a chili crisp and sweet potato Bass cheesecake made in air fryer.
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh my God, every time it just comes out perfectly because of that air circulation. And oh my God, I never buy Bass cheesecake out there because, my air fryer makes the
Uh-huh.
perfect one.
That's amazing. Okay, $1 million idea. Next cookbook, you say chili crisp, but only in an air
Oh,
fryer.
I mean, I have already like
There you
30 different ideas that I can throw into that. Two of my favorite things.
go. Okay, well, if you do it, slip my name in there.
Yeah, exactly. This all happened thanks to you, Olivia.
It's
Yeah.
just, the talented side of me. It's
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
you just have a lot of creative ideas that inspire other creators as well. So that's your talent.
That's my talent. I'm not going to create myself. I'm just going to tell
I mean,
people.
you are creating
The
your own
super,
ideas to inspire other creators, so it's kind of like a double creator mindset.
that is true.
Yeah,
Yep. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This was
yeah.
an amazing conversation. I'm really excited for you. And
Thank you so much for having me.
of course, I'm excited to see where everything takes off. And it'll be a really great few months for you.
Thank you
So
so much.
it'll look good.
Thank you, thank you. This was such a fun conversation.
It really was. I know. I'm so glad you were one of the first people I haven't spoken to, but I love that because now I can have like an organic conversation. I didn't know your background.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thanks for doing such a great job of like studying my background. I was like surprised that you knew all of this and I could tell that you were very prepared. So I appreciate that and it means a lot.
Of course, I'm always prepared. I'm never going to ask questions that people don't want to hear, you
Yeah.
know? Got to be a good interviewer. All right, so you can follow James Park on Instagram at Jamesy World to keep up with his latest recipes, or you can order Chili Crisp wherever your books are sold.
Thank you, Olivia. Keep it spicy.
Oh, always.
Thank you.
Hey, fellow foodies, thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave me a review. And while you're at it, make sure to follow me at Livin' for Food Pod on Instagram or TikTok, or email me at livinforfoodpod@gmail.com. Let me know what you're cooking up this week, which guests you would like to see on the podcast, or tell me your opinions on the latest viral food trend. Until next time.